C'est génial là-bas. Ah, c'est génial. Ah, ben merci. Je dois faire quelque chose. Une seconde, je dois faire quelque chose avec l'académie. Ah, bienvenue, man. Ah, sorry. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Sorry, just spending some time out here in the wonderful countryside of France. And now I hear we're going to talk about something dear to my heart. And it's La Perspective Académique, which is incredible in its own right. A little bit crazy, a little bit off the rails. But, you know, it's high class. And we got some high class members today. We're going to welcome in our wonderful Je ne sais pas casters to go over a little bit of this with us. And I'm going to try to walk us through, I think, of what we just witnessed, guys. And you're going to try to break it down for me. So I've got some, I'm at the Louvre. So I've got some pictures for you. Got some pictures, all right? I'm going to need you guys to break it down for the audience. Here we go. So,
bonjour.
The first, hey, beautiful French there, my friend. Beautiful. Man, who taught you? This is incredible.
We'll get back
so
to
our
that.
first picture of the day. I don't know how I'm gonna do with this. We're gonna see how it goes.
All right.
I can't wait for the best French painter I've ever known, Mazel.
Oh no!
Please don't
do that to me.
Is it Hex Tech Dragon Rift behind? From copy?
No.
Kind of makes me think of a sickle, but we don't really have a sickle. I guess we have cane. Okay, so it's very
You're
blue.
wrong. You're very wrong.
There was not a cane in the game.
What's there not?
There was not. It does have something to do with the game that we just watched.
Well, that's what I said. I was thinking maybe it was the Dragon Pit where copy used the Hex Gate behind. But I don't know.
I ain't gonna throw him under the bus like that. Come on. This is French art. We're high class in
we
here.
do have a
All right,
lot
you guys
of
are
different
not getting
colors
through
coming
this
through.
one.
Okay, so my first thought is like Aphelios with a bunch of different like rainbow guns.
No.
Fire?
No.
Is it fire? Fire.
But it's
all right,
fire.
Obviously this one is too difficult for my analyst, so we're gonna move on to the next potential piece. And it's nope, it was not fire.
We never get to know
Wait,
at this point.
We don't get to know at all.
So the first one was okay. I'll go back to it.
It's minimalist.
It was phase rush in my terrible drawing. That does kind of look like the phase rush drawing. All right.
Now that you said it,
I don't see it still. I see a fire.
Oh no. All right, this one's gonna be a little bit more complicated. Let's see.
Oh, more complicated.
Fire.
Okay, hopefully
is it fire?
for you.
No, it is not fire, thankfully.
Are you sure? You don't want to rethink that?
Is it Ditto from Pokemon?
No. That's a good guess, though.
Okay. Yellow.
Is it a surfboard?
Sombrero.
No.
Is it a tooth
Getting
surfboard?
closer. No, actually, you're not close at all. It's obviously too foreign of a concept for you.
A baguette?
This is a terrible drawing, by the way. I'm doing so good right now. I don't know what you guys are.
It looks like
how
a
this is so
sailfish
hard
of
for
some
you
kind.
guys. All right, I'm gonna give you guys like 10 more seconds.
10 more seconds. Okay.
Next one, what do you got?
I mean, to me, it looks like a fish throwing a baguette.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was thinking a seal. I was thinking a seal was throwing a baguette. That's what I was going with. It's got to be some. Is it a UFO?
That's just nope. It's not working out. All right. Well, that's supposed to be the Smite picture. The hand holding the Smite. You know how it goes. All right. So the third one's gonna be real easy. You guys can't get this one.
I didn't know the picture of Smite. The hand was actually a seal's flipper.
Yeah, you didn't know. Now you know. All right. We're teaching magical stuff on the day at least.
I do like her.
Yeah. All right. This one's really easy, guys. This one's really easy. If you can't get this one, nope. Good try though. Good try. Good guess.
Okay.
One day.
Is it mid lane?
Okay, I'm thinking summoner spells. Is it teleport?
Is it mid lane? No,
Come
Phage. Is it Phage?
No.
Caulfield's Warhammer.
No.
Poppy Hammer. Poppy Hammer.
Poppy Hammer. Cupid verdict. Okay, we figured it out.
Oh my God, we finally made it. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. It was Poppy, people. It was Poppy. It was supposed to be X-Use Poppy. The fact that he went phase rush, it was the Smite, so he was the jungler. And the hammer, because I thought that was very obvious. Obviously, we need to rework these issues, and there's some lost in translation there between French and English that we really need to get through.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I don't know what to
I
say,
can't keep
guys.
up with your French eyes.
I have some real art behind me, so I'm just gonna say bye, and I don't know what you guys want to do. So
just because the critics don't like your art doesn't mean you should stop making it, Mazel.
that's the power of being French. All right, we don't care what people think about our art. Okay, we just put it out there. We love it. But in all actually, I'm gonna say adieu to you fellas, and thank you for being a part of Le Perspective Académique avec moi. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Well, bye. What did you say? I can't speak French.
I think that's how you say it, right? Bye. Is that how you say it in French? Bye.
I could say Auf Wiedersehen. Does that count?
Close enough,
right, cool.
right?
It's closer than I guess I was. But you know what? That first game was definitely exciting. It was close, and honestly, it could have gone either way. I think that Cloud9 were on the verge of greatness. They were this close, but there were just a couple of fights that just didn't work out for them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a big showcase of why it's so important to be in places first. And we also got to see a couple opportunities where the flanks and the flangles, as I've started calling them, to probably only my amusement, is definitely something that we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to, right? We saw Lawrence and Copy both go for them at different points, but this time, Magical, we also saw that Eclipse, who we were calling out earlier as being an influential member of a lot of the fights that we were going for previously on last week, Eclipse, once again, had a couple of big flanks that allowed their team to have success.
Honestly, I even look at how this Dignitas roster played in that game. And, you know, you look at the previous games, you look at Eclipse, and he was this powerhouse in the top lane. He was the guy really making the plays. Here, he did his job perfectly. But his job was very different from what we saw in Week 1. It was be the front line, be able to disengage if necessary, but also be able to find those picks when possible. Be able to catch out members, such as Copy, such as King, before they could really get that full bit of damage that they needed to.
Yeah, and the amount of displacement that Dignitas had actually drafted for themselves, it was very easy for them to make fights really chaotic in such a way that they always had their front line, because there was nowhere near as much displacement on the other side. In fact, was there any? I don't think there was really. Oh, they had like Zinjo ultimate. Yeah, and that was really about it for them to create like new space in a fight.
I mean, but that wasn't the point of their composition. We looked at how they were able to win some of those fights, and it was the chaotic tools that they had. Lawrence and Copy, Akali, Gwen, diving into the backline, making it so that was enough to be able to displace members. Already, they have to now change their focus. They can't focus on King anymore. They have to turn their attention onto Copy or Lawrence. Otherwise, they're just going to clean house. And if you focus on them too much, then King is going to get all this absurd amount of damage on you. So yeah, it's like lose-lose almost, unless you can find a fight where it's 4v5, front to back, like they did in that final fight.
Yeah, and it really helps a lot when Dignitas is able to control vision so much. They're able to create space for themselves in order to make it very easy for them to manufacture these front-to-back team fights that they really wanted to go for. And every single member, it felt like, was playing their part during all of these team fights. And the biggest thing that we always have to look at is, you know, who was kind of our standout member for me? It was Spawn, right? Constantly able to make sure he was max ranging everybody during these fights, and because everybody else was doing their job, he was alive in order to pick up these multi-kills towards the end and do all the damage he needed to make everybody else doing their job look really good.
Well, and that is the problem when you have a composition like Cloud9's does. If you're not able to disrupt the backline, then the backline's just going to rip you apart. And Spawn did a great job at that. He was placing himself perfectly in these fights, usually one of the last people to die, even in some of the fights that didn't work out well, because he knew where to position. He knew how to get himself a lot of distance away from the Cloud9 members. But even with that, we got to see them continue that. There were definitely hiccups for Dignitas when you look at the early to mid game, where they played a little bit too greedy. Spawn was a little too far out, and they were punished for it.
Yeah. So now that we kind of look at the first half of the game, we have to look at the second half of the series, right? We have to ask ourselves what kind of changes are going to be happening on the side of Cloud9 for them to actually have a little bit more success. And we saw Copy so far having a pretty darn good day. Let's see if we can enable him a little bit more. We didn't see a whole lot of attention being paid towards the mid lane from the jungle. And if Copy is able to take that and create enough space to either split push or dive into the back lane effectively, I think Cloud9 still have an opportunity to bring this back based on how close that game really was.
I agree, and I'm curious to see how the draft is going to change because we are swapping sides. Cloud9 is going to go to blue side with Dignitas on the red side. And before, I mean, even here, we looked last week, look this week, a lot of focus from teams has been not on to King, but has been on to Keetong instead. Letting King have whatever he wants, instead trying to take away a lot of these enchanters from the hands of Cloud9. But even with the Lulu, that has been one of these coveted picks for the bot lane of Cloud9, it wasn't really enough to be able to keep the Aphelios alive long enough for King to really clean up every one of these fights, though there were definitely some highlight moments in that game for both members.
If they can continue having those highlights, Cloud9 is going to look very strong, right? They're going to have a lot of their members coming back fairly soon. And if they can continue to have enough individual power, they're going to be looking really good as those members come back. But it sounds like we are going to be jumping into champion select here, Alex. And so, with the teams switching sides, we are going to see something very different. We're not getting your favorite salty run back.
No, we're not. We're not getting the salty run back. And I'm just hoping, praying to God, that we don't get Corki Victor. That's all I ask for these teams. No Corki Victor when I'm casting. You can do it when when you can do it when the others are casting, just not when I'm casting. That's what I want.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it again. I'm done with it, Josh. No exceptions. No exceptions.
I will give you blanket permission when Alex is not on the cast to play strong champions, but you know, we do have to note that it is something we have been seeing quite a bit of, and a lot of people on Twitter have been a little bit vocal that a lot of the Victors are not playing it as well as they need to in order to prevent the Corkis from taking over. But with the Corki band away, our draft is looking pretty darn similar to what we saw previously. Another Karma Yumi band targeted at Keetong.
And here we actually see that the final ban, instead of being Senna, is going to be Lulu. But Twisted Fate has made his way through the draft. With the Jinx being banned by Cloud9, they grabbed that immediately. And before, I said, where's the Lee Sin? The Lee Sin was left open and then banned in the second wave of bans. Here, I just want to see Dignitas grab that. Even though I liked the puppy out of XU, I love seeing him on these highly aggressive junglers.
He's got a couple of choices too, right? He still has access to the Jiao, if they want to go for that. The Jarvan is banned away, but with all these options available for him, they can be very aggressive.
We actually get spawned on to Caitlyn since the Jinx was banned away. And I wonder if we're going to see that Caitlyn and Lux bot lane that we've been seeing. A lot of people have been criticizing it as of late, just not having as near of success as it had at the very beginning when we really saw it dominating the meta. But there we go. That's what I wanted to see. XU on the Lee Sin.
XU's Lee Sin. It's a classic, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going directly for it, and it makes a lot of sense, right? One of the best ways that you can deal with a Twisted Fate is you attack it early on. Lee Sin is one of the best at doing that. There's only one crowd control in Twisted Fate's kit, and that does mean that you can only stop either Lee Sin or the mid laner when they go in for these ganks. And XU, we know how to
especially on something like a Lee Sin that wants to play highly aggressive early on, wants to constantly look for these early plays. Well, that's a good opportunity for him, is to try to focus on the copy in this mid lane, especially because I said before, when I think copy, I think things like Twisted Fate, roaming around the map, trying to impact these side lanes, especially someone like King, who's picking up this Jhin into Caitlyn.
Yeah, a lot of supportive style plays typically coming through from Copy. This is something we know he's very good at. Jhin Leona going to be coming out for Cloud9. This is a bit of a departure from what Keetong typically plays in terms of enchanters, but he did play it a couple of times previously last week, and I think it's something that they should be able to find at least some success on, or at least hopefully more than they did last time. It was a little bit unfortunate in their matchup going up against TSM. But Jhin Leona with Twisted Fate, that's a lot of crowd control already being presented for Cloud9.
And then Darkwings grabs Sylas, a great tool against something like Twisted Fate, because now that whole roaming capability I was talking about is out the window, because Darkwings is going to be able to follow you up as well. Just grab, steals away your Destiny Gate, and he's going to be right on your heels.
Well, I do want to give it a little bit of a caveat to that, right? In isolation, this matchup is not good for Sylas. Early on, Twisted Fate is able to bully really heavily, being a ranged champion into a melee. And as long as you can dodge the Abscond Abduct, you're going to be in a fantastic spot as Twisted Fate. However, it becomes incredibly dangerous between levels 3 and 5 for Copy in the mid lane if XU chooses to come here. You need the extra little bit of jungle pressure so that the all-in threatenings from Darkwings suddenly are very, very lethal. If we don't see that, it could leave Copy in a spot where he is very able to roam around the map and create a lot of pressure.
If you look at the second part of the ban, Trundle, Jace banned by Dignitas, Braum and Lux taken off of the board by Cloud9 Academy. And I'm expecting to see it's going to probably be that support pickup for JJ right here. Nautilus is still available if they want to go for something like that again, something highly aggressive. But we look at how Keatong, you talked about playing in that Leona, another aggressive supportive champion, a very different style than we're used to from Keatong, but he did play it pretty successfully in the lane phase. And it was up against Euroson's Nautilus in game 2. Was able to play aggressively, look for these plays to try to set up King. But JJ is also someone who likes to look for these plays, really facilitate and bolster Spawn on his side. There's both of them. I'm just wondering who gets the upper hand in this matchup. Whoa!
Ooh.
Whoa!
Akshan coming through, coming out for Lords, and the Udyr coming in for Frost Forest. This
Whoa!
is a bit of a throwback and a bit of a new look. And the Jax! Magical! Everybody just throwing down the gauntlet all at once. This is suddenly an incredibly spicy draft coming out from both sides. Cloud9 looking to have a very different style of game in the first one.
That flew... What?
You seem so shocked, but I really like this Jax coming through.
Hate the Jax.
It is one of those
how sudden
champions.
the Udyr, the Akshan, the Jax just came
So
through.
fast.
Everyone having an answer pretty much when the Nautilus got picked up. They're like, we know what we want. We want Akshan, Udyr. That's how we're going to set up our top side. And then Eclipse is like, give me Jax. I'm going to wipe the floor with him.
Give me Jax. Yeah, I think the Jax here is going to be really, really cool because you have to note that the Jax is not only pretty good into auto attackers in general, but also has the ability to completely dodge out on Twisted Fate's stun if you use the Counter-Strike at the right time. And it becomes very, very difficult for Copy to gank this top lane as long as we aren't seeing an over-aggression by the Jax. So it really limits opportunities for Cloud9 to roam around the map and realize successfully.
Both these teams right now. It's like, you talked about Twisted Fate having the upper hand into Sylas, but then we look at the top side, Jax into Akshan, Udyr against Lee Sin. Lee Sin we expect to play highly aggressively, but Udyr just wants to be able to be fast boy, move around the map really quickly. So when we let him onto the Rift for this game 2 here, it truly is both teams just throwing down the gauntlet at the feet of their opponents. We're not having at all a similar style. I almost thought for a second we might have a salty run back despite switching sides here in game 2 from both teams, but suddenly it just immediately went. It was just crazy. It was crazy to see, Josh. And oh my God, we even have Cloud9 and yes, we have the 5v5 top lane. Who gets the advantage here? They've both snuck their way into the top lane, but it's going to be Dignitas pulling the trigger first, and they all show up looking for the depth charge. It's first blood for XU. Cloud9, this is devastating. The flash away, the flash follow up. The damage is not going to be there, but they got the kill they needed.
Oh boy, and it goes over to XU as well, already taking control of the game, and he has a very clear target at this point, Magical. There is no flash available to King in the bottom lane, no heal available to King in the bottom lane. Suddenly, this place of power that we were saying that Cloud9 could potentially play to with Twisted Fate is going to be really threatened by Dignitas as well. JJ gonna be ready to pull the trigger, and oh boy, Magical, this level 1, like you called for, suddenly going to really have a big effect on the game.
Joshi, who got the kill is even more important than that. XU got first blood here on Lee Sin of all champions to start off with a snowball. This is the one that if you're a Cloud9 fan, you did not want to see.
Yeah, and look at that. Already a ward going down from Cloud9 in the river. They are worried about these really early ganks coming through from XU. They want to make sure that they're going to be in a place where they can at least hold steady. And you're seeing they got the lane a little bit faster, but they're not going for a push. They cannot afford to be overextended at this point in the game because Lee Sin can also hop that hop the wall into the bush where they are unseen. So Cloud9, they don't know that XU's moving towards the top side, but they can't afford to play around the fact that he might not be.
They have to play passively here. They have to stay far back and not really want to look for this aggression until they know where XU's at. That's what you can see. Just Keatong kind of acting and posturing forward, looking to see if he wants to get anything. It's a nice trap played down by Spawn, but Keatong will be fine. And XU still pathing towards the top half of the map. I doubt we're going to really see too much more out until one of the junglers is spotted out.
Okay, so we're going to have to point out something small that just happened. Copy moved over, he placed the ward, and he sees that the Raptors were not completed. But he didn't see XU crossing at the same time. XU skipping the Raptors, they might not know exactly where he is at this point. They might still think that he's doing something on the bottom side of the map. This is so dangerous.
Lawrence
is dead.
Nice counter-strike. The flash, though. Lawrence, where are you going, buddy? You got a shield, but it's going to be a second kill for XU.
And you got to feel for Lawrence, right? That's not entirely on him. He got missed information. The timing window coming out from Copy ends up putting Lawrence in a dangerous spot. The flash, maybe not the best thing in the world, but he was almost always going to die there.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what, even if you flashed the right way, you're dead. So he tries to... Maybe it was like one of those, I got to get some CS before I go, make sure the wave crashes, so that way it's not frozen here, and I'm even more doomed. But Frost Force here, realizing that XU had skipped over the Raptors, wants to steal them away, do his best he can to slow it down the pace from XU. But it's a 2-0 Lee Sin, who still has to back to spend a little bit more of that gold. They're not going to be able to fight him for a long time as Udyr. Nice pull by JJ to stop Spawn from going down, but he's still taking a lot of damage from Ketong, from King. So he will have to get back all the way to the turret.
Oh, Dark Wings. Frostburst is here.
We're just not stopping, are we? It's just constant fighting. And this is almost reminiscent of what we kind of saw last game, isn't it?
Oh, Frost Force, he didn't see XU.
Oh,
no,
not again.
The timing window.
Not again. King, Ketong, flashed by JJ. King goes down. Third kill for XU. Why not just give him a fourth? They are feeding this Lee Sin. This is why you banned the champion, Joshi. You ban him because he's too damn strong.
4 kills. He's getting away with it every single time, Magical. He's gotten away with not getting spotted by a war on the top side. He gets away with just being a little bit faster than Frost Force to the bottom lane. They barely miss out on seeing him both times, and it results in so many kills going over to XU. This man is absolutely taking control of the game, and now JJ and Spawn need to get out in order to stay alive from Frost Forest.
But do they? I don't know if they really do. They're kiting back at the moment. They're getting a lot of damage. The pull back in with the heal too. They're looking for the trap. A lot of damage on a Frost Force. Spawn still alive. They're going to be able to get the kill they need to. It will be returned by the crit shot coming in from King.
JJ is also looking so good. Oh, no.
No!
You can't do it to him like this.
No,
he's got a ward. Okay.
He's fine. I was about to say not again. Not again. XU's been getting away with this for too damn long.
Too long. Okay, I mean, we can talk about XU all day long at this point, but I also want to point out JJ has had a couple of great hooks in the bottom lane that have kept Spawn alive in situations where most of the time it feels like he wouldn't be. And so we got to make sure, give him credit where it's due, because Dignitas have been mechanically playing so well. And
Josh?
I'm just flabbergasted.
Josh, you now see why I say that XU should have been playing Lee Sin last game?
Yeah? He's pretty good at it.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
I mean, he's a monster right now. This almost feels like it's one of those games if you have in solo queue, like, GG, go next. It's a 4-0 Lee Sin. It's not even 6 minutes into the game. Unless you're just going to be able to kill him all over and over again. If XU just decides he's going to play hyper-aggressive and way too cocky, I don't know how you can stop him.
It's very tough, right? And if you had like a point of strength elsewhere on the map, right, the biggest bit of counterplay that these guys have been able to grab is the fact that Frost Forest is up 2.5 camps, right? Which is not nothing, but it's not 4 kills.
I'm like, I think I'd rather have the 4 kills than 2.5 camps.
Yeah, every single time. So Dignitas, the biggest thing that they're going to have to be a little worried about is Copy is now online on this Twisted Fate, and notice he's gone for Ionian Boots and the Kindle Gem. That is a lot of cooldown reduction. He is trying to get off as many ultimates as possible over the next couple of minutes. And Frost Forest, down here in the bottom lane, going to be trying to take away this blue buff. XU doesn't know he's there.
That's because XU doesn't give a damn. He's looking for a gank. More kills, more farm. He's good with this. He doesn't care about blue buff. It's Lee Sin after all. Give it over to Frost Force. Look for this play on to King of Ketong, even though King does have that flash up.
Okay, Frost Force is 6.
But it's Udyr with 6. It's not like a Lee Sin with 6, right?
Yeah, it's not the same. Okay, JJ
nice
going in and
pull.
fights Ketong.
Come on. Come on. They're just 5 kills? It's not even 8 minutes into the game.
Frost Forest was there, too. They did that under the nose of the Udyr. It just doesn't matter. Darkwings now also has the ability to roam around the map. This should be a very easy dragon going over to Dignitas. And as an individual dragon, the Mountain Dragon does so much in terms of making you that little bit tankier. So this is a big boon going over towards the members of Dignitas. And at the same time, Alex, for a long time, Eclipse was struggling to CS up against Lawrence just due to the range differential, but he's also got a lead now. He's up a little bit in CS, and the 2 assists means that he is Jackson. This man is scaling.
Jackson, Akshan doing well now, scaling up into the game. Silas into Twisted Fate, surviving the lane phase and being able to steal that ult away. And then, you know, there's XU, who's super fed.
XU.
And he's XU.
He has a mythic. It's not even 10 minutes in the game.
He's got a mythic already. What the hell are we watching right now, Joshi?
I don't know what the Samsung Fast 5 tracks for junglers, but fastest mythic.
Can we have fastest in 10 kills at this rate? Because I have a feeling he's going to get it before 20 minutes.
Maybe. Just all over the map, now starting up the Rift Herald. He's kind of forgoing a lot of his camp, so he is going to be losing out on the gold there, but he is getting so many advantages for his team. And JJ, now in mid, just going to be picking up this cannon, probably, and getting some push in order to make sure that they can support XU if anybody comes to
I look at this game and look at how dominating Dignitas is in the early game. This is kind of what I expect of them. You look to last week. You look to day 1 against FlyQuest. Game 1 was a bit closer, but day 2, they got this massive, massive lead early on into the game, and they never relented. It's looking like a rinse and repeat from last time's day 1.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if history is going to repeat itself, as Dignitas has a very strong lead. And I also want to give a little bit of props to Darkwings, right? He hasn't received that much attention from XU. JJ came in to clear a canyon wave, but he's been able to maintain CS parity with Copy. And what we said was not a great lane in isolation. So the fact that he is also really strong moving into the mid game suddenly gives Dignitas just a ton of opportunities to continue scaling. They have a lot of strong champions on their side, and again, XU can pick any of these guys and just say, hey, you know, I'm already fed, but now you're fed too.
And both the neutral objectives have been accomplished by Dignitas, getting the early dragon, the mountain that you talked about, but also XU was able to solo out that Rift Herald with nobody being able to fight against them, because who can go near him? Who can fight against XU? And even looking top lane, Eclipse was making sure to freeze this wave against Lawrence so that Lawrence is going to have a hard time doing anything.
Yeah, Eclipse going to be coming back. I mean, it's a little bit difficult for Eclipse to freeze this at the moment just due to the fact that Lawrence is a ranged champion. But it also begs the question to Lawrence, is like, well, where is XU?
I mean,
that landed.
Yeah, not bad from Darkwings, but this is the problem. Takes a lot of damage on the other side. Oh no, gold card on a minion. No follow-up, but you don't really want to follow up anyways because JJ was right behind. Can easily save Darkwing's life.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have to ask, right? Typically, in these 2-game series, with, you know, your first half, second half, there's a big question on, you know, it's not a best of series, right? You can just drop.
Bye, Kitong.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Death number 4.
Goodbye.
Death number 4. This is just brutal. He's trying to flash away. Follow up coming in from XU. He's still alive, but burns to the red buff. Easy dominating XU.
Keeps the flash too, man. Well, at least they pushed off Eclipse from the top side of the map, right? At least they are getting Lawrence some CS, but he's still got a CS deficit. They're going to be grabbing plates, and this teleport coming through.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm interested to see if Frost Force wants to look for anything further onto Eclipse.
This is a tough
It
dive.
is very tough, especially since Lawrence doesn't have very much mana. Going to get a lot of damage coming back in. Here's the Destiny Gate opened up. Counter-Strike a little bit too early. Gold card is used. Getting the stun, but the TP in from Darkwing's going to save his life. They're going to be able to get the stun that they needed to. The follow-up coming in. Darkwing's taking a lot of damage on the other side. Eclipse is still in the fight, though, and he's stunned up, and it's a kill for Copy.
Okay, this is one of the big plays that we also have to pay attention to is how's the rest of the team going to go.
Nice.
JJ finds
charge
finds a
on
hook.
to Copy. The follow-up coming in. The gold card a little bit late. They're finally going to be able to get it with him going golden, and JJ will be the next target. The flash away trying to be able to keep himself alive, but Frost Force can chase this one down pretty easily to give another kill over to Lawrence.
Oh boy, okay. Cloud9 getting their counterplay, but it comes at the cost of an entire bottom lane turret. So they find a couple of kills. They get a lot of gold back, But the problem is, the person that they need to kill with a 600 gold bounty is still alive. He was part of the person who got the bottom lane turret to go down. XU still so strong at this point, and with 30 seconds left on the next dragon, Dignitas still going to be in a strong position to try and contest this.
It wasn't just one turret. It was 2 turrets in the bot lane. The fully plated bot lane turret and the tier 2 pushed all the way to the inhibitor by Dignitas.
And they even get a good chunk on the inhibitor turret too, Magical. This is absolutely insane. I mean, that's what gave Cloud9 so much confidence to actually go for the play on the other side, right? Is knowing that XU is not there. And I feel like that's a very common thing that ends up happening in our solo queue games, right? When, somebody else on your team is strong, and they just run around and you're with them, you're just like, yeah, look at me, I'm doing so good. And then you realize, oh, wait, my strong friend isn't here. Okay, I'm not strong yet. It was just XU. Dignitas do need to reel back a little bit and recognize that, yes, they are winning, but most of their gold is still on one member. The rest of them still need some time to actually scale up.
That's why I look at how that play went in the bot lane for Dignitas. I'm looking at the spawn. Having completed the Gale Force, also having the Berserker's Greaves, someone that you can fall back onto if you don't have XU in these fights. You can always rely on a Caitlyn damage coming through, especially as you get out of that trough that everyone likes to talk about in her mid game.
Yeah. Well, Dignitas, now with another dragon to their name, are going to be moving up towards the top side of the map. There is
another
a Rift Herald spawning.
Rift? Wow.
Another Hextech Rift, yeah.
All right, Dignitas,
got the gates.
Don't use the Hextech Rift. Just let it be there. I believe in you. Ooh, nice dodge from Eclipse there to get away from the Solar Flare, but mid lane, the kick onto King, the flash away, didn't get the Sonic Wave to connect, so now they're rooted. Gotta be careful though, look at the damage coming in from spawn with the ace in the hole, double kill both lanes.
Clean kill coming through, and now XU finding Frost
he's
Forest.
Done. He's 7-0-1. This is a Lee Sin who's far and away ahead. He's got JJ nearby too. He's like, this is mine. You might have taken my blue buff earlier, but now your jungle are belong to us.
Yeah, your blue, my blue. Suddenly, this is what we're saying, right, is when XU is there, the rest of you can just go really aggressive because everybody has to run away from the blind monk, but it is going to result in not just the kills, and that's the test I always ask for teams, is are you going to be getting more than just those kills? Kills are nice. It's a little bit of gold, a little bit of experience, but this mid lane turret going down extends the gold lead to 4,000 and opens up the map, which makes it easier for Dignitas to go for these more aggressive plays again in the future.
All the highlight plays right now are onto XU, but I gotta go back to Spawn and talk about how he is their secondary player at the moment. Getting the kill in the mid lane, then getting the turret gold by himself on this Caitlyn. He's already starting to get, look at that. He's working towards getting a lethality item. I'm imagining probably going to be a collector here just to really hurt and be able to kill off any members that come nearby.
Yeah. Okay, and Dignitas also moving together at the same time. They're going to be going to pick up this Rift Herald. Now, the one thing that they're doing is they are going to be giving over pressure in the bottom side of the map. Copy and Frost Forest should be enough to take down this bottom lane turret, especially with no teleports available to the members of Dignitas. But Frost Forest
doesn't commit for it.
Oh, he took a Hex Gate. I was like, where did he go on the map?
I almost wonder if you leave the turrets up because you're nearly 4,000 gold behind, about 3,500 behind that of Dignitas, and just wait for the comeback gold on the structures. Get it low, so that way you can get a little bit of extra gold.
Oh, that's true. Where are the objective bounties?
It's pretty early into the
they
game.
really highly, but it's after 14 minutes.
Might not be enough just yet, even though all the neutral objectives have been picked up by the side of Dignitas. 2 Dragons, 2 Rift Heralds. The only real objective that has been picked up by Cloud9 is that bot lane tier 1 turret.
Yeah, and here we go. XU looking to pick up another structure. Potentially, he's not necessarily going to be dropping the Rift Herald just quite yet, but he's just creating enough space to make sure that Darkwings can do it himself. And now, they see a lot of members, so they're going to get out of here, but that creates enough space on the rest of the map, right? Copy, we said at the very beginning, he needs to have a large effect on this game. He built a lot of cooldown reduction in order to try and go for as many ultimates as possible. I think I've seen one.
Let's give him some credit. It's hard when you have a fed Lee Sin like XU on the other side to really confidently look for any plays.
It is true, and at least it was an aggressive one. There was somebody that had a lot of defensive Twisted Fate ultimates last week, but this is an opportunity right now for Copy to try and create unbalanced fights, right? We haven't necessarily seen him go for the Jax. As we already said, it's very hard for Twisted Fate to go for the Jax. We haven't seen him go towards the bottom lane, and that might be like their best opportunity to try and find a comeback. Jin, Leona, Twisted Fate should be able to burst out individual members, but
Copy defensive. No,
right,
he doesn't. The
Oh,
kick
he
is
doesn't!
there from XU to look for the follow-up as well. Dark Wings is nearby. He's got his own flash. Laverfrost not going to connect, but the Gold Card sure as hell will. Copy taking a lot of damage. Change to try to see if he can make sure they can pick up the kill for Dark Wings.
XU is so rude. Just goes in, goes for the Q onto the minion, W's in, kicks him into the wall, making sure that there is no escape for anybody. But this is, again, an opportunity for Cloud9 in the bottom lane to create some pressure. We're seeing some small gaps in their gameplay where a couple people aren't necessarily holding things up. They aren't preventing these side lanes from being attacked. And it does mean that Cloud9, they're still 4,000 gold behind, but it's staying steady at 4,000 gold. It's still a very tough position for them to be in. And as this turret goes down, the map continues to open up and nobody gets the local gold for Dignitas. Instead, they're going to be focused on picking up the third dragon of the game, another Hextech dragon, in order to get themselves one closer.
Imagine with that Hextech Soul onto someone like XU, the slow you can get from the chain. It's going to be brutal to escape that of XU. 7-0-2 still working on what I can only assume is a death dance on Lee Sin. So if you thought he was already doing a lot of damage, now you're just not going to be able to ever kill him.
True. There's not a lot of magic damage coming out from the members of Cloud9. It's only Twisted Fate, and you know, this build does not do a lot of damage, right? He's got the Everfrost, the rapid fire cannon, and building towards Azonias means that he's never going to be doing enough damage to actually kill XU. So all the extra armor, very, very valuable on XU right now, and we'll see if Cloud9 can come up with this side lane pressure in such a way that they can start picking up some of these outer turrets in order to get these objective bounties, but they still have other problems, Magical, right? You touched on it. Spawn and Eclipse are scaling into the game. Darkwings is scaling into the game, and they're very happy that they have had such a successful bridge in order to get them to this point of the game where they can
Helps
start
out
being
when you
the ones
get
to
at
carry.
least in a level 1 kill, doesn't it?
It does.
Makes your life
Yep.
way easier.
Are you trying to say that people should be going
Yes,
for more level
all the
ones?
time. If you're not fighting level 1, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Well, they're going to be hitting the mid lane turret.
That's not level
something
1
they're doing.
though.
But
there
they
we
only
go.
have
Just the gate
3.
opened up, looking to see what they can get. There's 2 TPs available on the side of Dignitas. There's going to be a lot of damage. Here's his TP onto the
Spawn.
control ward. A lot of damage onto Frostforce to be able to pick up a kill for Spawn. Yitong's on the other side, threatening a flank, but it's a 4v5 fight with King pretty low. They don't really want to go for this unless they can root Darkwings that entire time. A shield to keep him alive. Still healthy enough. All he has to do is have his escort buddies nearby to make sure that he can get out.
The comeuppance from Lawrence wasn't enough to take him down. He only got like 1 bullet and hit like a minion, but XU looking for his way back
dodge.
into the
Be
fight.
able to get
Copy.
the root on top of it as well. Eclipse scaring Keetong, so he's not going to be able to engage with that solar flare. Instead, waiting to see what Lawrence is going to be able to do on the other side. Trying to see if he can threaten at least JJ. XU trying to get a cheater recall this entire time. Should be able to go back home.
Everybody going to be backing away. It is going to be everybody living on the side of Dignitas, which is rather impressive, right? Considering how Darkwings ended up getting caught towards the end part of that fight. But I also want to praise Spawn, right? His willingness to change the direction that he was kiting super quickly means that he is putting himself in a spot where it is very difficult for people to actually chase after him, and it makes the fight even easier for the members of Dignitas than it was previously. But with 2.5 minutes left until the next dragon comes up, the only real question we have is Dignitas going to want to try and threaten the Baron before then?
No.
I don't think they need to, but they were feeling confident last game.
threatened the soul because you forced Cloud9 into your hands. Well, yeah, you could threaten the Baron. I don't think Cloud9 even want to contest that. They're far more worried about that Hextech soul going into Dignitas' pocket.
Well, they're already starting to take control of this southern quadrant of the jungle. Eclipse a bit far
Here's gonna be
forward.
the Destiny Gate with the gold card onto Eclipse, taking a lot of damage though. Solar Flare to slow him down, Counter Strike as well to be able to get a triple stun. The flash away. He's got the ward drop if he needs to, but he put it on the wrong side of the wall so they can continue to chase it down and give Frostforce a kill. But this is where you just go onto the Baron. They spotted it out with the Brelude Trinket. They've got the TP in behind coming in from Copy to see if they can at least slow him down. They got a little bit of vision. They've got a little bit of time, but they don't have the members necessary. 3v5 fight in the meanwhile. Have to be careful. It's taken down to 25% out. It's going to be the curtain call opened up. They got Copy on the other side. They're getting a lot of damage coming in from Darkwing on top of him. It goes Golden. It's going to be the Spite Secure on the other side, but they're going to be able to jump on top of Lawrence, who's still alive, but he's taken down finally by Spawn. Looking for JJ on the other side. They've got the double kill. They can get more. They can continue chase onto Frostboard with the ace and the whole triple kill Spawn.
I feel like I'm watching a replay at this point, Magical. Didn't we just end last game with a triple kill for Spawn too? Now he's picking up another one, kiting so well, and great discipline from the members of Dignitas. They knew who they needed to peel off in order to create space, and everybody else was just able to continue hitting the Baron. And now, with the mid lane turret going down, they're going to be going for another mid lane turret. There's still a minute to Dragon, and everything just lining up perfectly.
They've got all the tempo they need to. They've got the turret taken in mid lane. They could rotate down to the bot lane if they wanted to, and take another structure all the while.
It's going to be a little bit dangerous. You want to make sure you get your backs in at the same time, right? They're going to be doing it right now. 40 seconds, last call to get your backs off, and with the Baron, they're going to be doing it a little bit earlier. So, Dignitas, as you said, everything lining up. The minions pushing in the bottom lane, creating pressure there. They now have the minions pushing in the mid lane, and Eclipse creating pressure in the top lane. The only thing he needs to do, he needs to start moving his way down to the bottom side of the map, but I mean, I said 40 seconds is the last call.
I mean, you said that, and now look what Spawn has bought. He's completed the Infinity Edge. He's got 3 items compared to the only 2.5 or 2 1/4 on the side of King. This Caitlyn is not in any trough now. She's 5, 1, and 4, pretty much keeping up with that of XU when it comes to the bounty.
Absolutely crazy stuff coming through from Dignitas, Alex. We said that the first game was really, really close, and it was. This game has not been. Frost Forest doesn't even have flash to get over this wall. Easy secure of the Hex Tech Soul coming out for Dignitas, and at this point, I don't really know what there is left for Cloud9 to do.
I don't either. Honestly, I'm trying to think what you can do here. A 7-0-6 Lee Sin, a 5, 1, and 4 Caitlyn. They've got items. They've got a Hex Tech Soul on their side. If they already were doing enough damage to you and being able to chase you down reliably before, now there is no escape. You can even see there with the pull coming in from XU and JJ. The Solar Flare going wide, but XU is going to be the target. He's finally shut down by Keetong. And they've lost their carry, but the damage from Spawn, it's his time to shine. Double kill once more comeuppance. Not really going to do anything to JJ. The pull coming in onto Copy. The jump into with them going golden. He is dead, mate. We've got more kills for Dark Wings with Lawrence, the sole survivor of the team. He's underneath this fountain. But Dignitas, they take this game from the control of moment 1. They had all working out perfectly for their Lee Sin, for Spawn, for every last member, and they finally get the ace right at 25 minutes into the game.
The only tragedy of this is XU ends up dying at the very end of it. He missed out on the perfect KDA, but 7-1-9 is going to be what he has to settle with this time around Magical. A beautiful play coming out from the members of Dignitas. They looked so good across the map this time, and they take down Cloud9, one of the teams that has been perennially been towards the top of the academy, and it was a clean 2-0. First half close. Second half, we asked who's going to make adaptations. It was Dignitas with this early kill going over to XU, and then they never let go.
And what's worse is Cloud9 were going for the coin flip too. Both teams are like, we're going to coin flip game 2, see how this works. It just happened to be that it worked out for Dignitas. They called heads, it landed heads. They got the kill for XU as well, and from then, there was so little that could be done by Cloud9 because the momentum really just favored Dignitas. Even think about how XU was able to dodge away from a lot of the vision that possibly could have mitigated anything that Dignitas wanted, but XU just had perfect pathing.
Again, XU dodging out so narrowly on some of the timing windows coming out from the side of Cloud9 just put him in a spot where he was perfectly ready to go for everything, and Cloud9 had no information on where he was. Great pathing coming out from XU, great fighting coming out from the rest of the team, and again, you know, we've given a lot of props to XU. I want to continue giving them to Spawn. His ability to stay alive in these fights and create enough space and understand his ranges and where he needs to kite to is making him one of the very strong AD carries that we were already looking at for this Academy season.
Early game was XU's, but late game, if you even want to call it that, because it was only a 25-minute game, was Spawn's. Once it hit that 15-minute mark, and he had already had, what, an item and a half, I think, at 15, and then just getting a bunch of kills to be able to have 3 items by the end of the game, Spawn was able to take control. His positioning was great in that game. So that way, XU could play as greedy as he wanted to, because he knew that he had Spawn right there to dish out the damage necessary.
So there you have it. I mean, Dignitas just looking good. I'm looking forward to see what this team is going to continue doing for the rest of the season. You know, there are obviously a couple places where they can shore up. You want to make sure you don't give up all of those side lane turrets, but once you do that, this team looking to really challenge the top of the table and make arguments as to why they should be potentially ready to move to the next level.
Yeah, and you know what? I think we even might have an interview lined up with XU, but we're going to toss it to a break first. That way we can have Mazel come back and give us that beautiful interview, so don't go anywhere.